Green, they say, is the color of prosperity. So that's what I'm wearing this morning. And of course, green is also related to agriculture and water. So today, that is those are the two topics we're covering. Water and agriculture, because there are concerns that if we don't get things right this early in the year, we may be running out of water. We might have water shortages, and we will find out from MWSS what the situation is. After that, we will be speaking to two of our regulars here on Agenda regarding onions, chicken, and all things agriculture. And yes, I know some of you don't even want to be reminded, but we need to have a better understanding what's going on, because the Department of Agriculture has not been very generous with their public information. So we need to get info from other sources. But before that, let's get the day started right by saying thank you. Thank you to all of you who are subscribers of Cignal TV. Thank you to all of you who watch Agenda and follow One News here on Facebook as well as on YouTube. And of course, thank you to PLDT for their home fiber optic internet, particularly Mr. Marco Borlongan. Okay, let's get the day started with our daily starter, which my wife always mentions to her friends. Perfection is the enemy of completion. Many of us have that problem. We want to get things done right, perfect, exact, etc., especially beginners. And what happens is when we try to get things perfect, exactly right, we don't end up completing what we are trying to do. So be careful. Perfection is the enemy of completion. Sometimes okay na yung hindi perfect basta natapos mo. Wag lang yung pwede na. Pwede na is the best friend of katamaran. Okay, let's now go to the front page of the Philippine Star for a quick review because we have a busy day. The headline goes, Defense officer in charge resigns, and the peace advisor Carlito Galvez replaces OIC Faustino. Okay, the officer in charge of the Department of National Defense, Jose Faustino Jr., has resigned his post and given way to the appointment of Carlito Galvez. So we will see what happens there. And then a Senate summons to GADE, air traffic system suppliers, and DOTR officials, both old and new, para magtagpo-tagpo na sila. So they will all come together at the Senate to figure out who is telling the truth and who is just pointing fingers. Okay. Meantime, the big photo of the front page of the Philippine Star is the ceremonial boring of the subway tunnel project that was initiated by President Bongbong Marcos, who vows more big-ticket infrastructure and transport projects. Ayan po. So malaking bagay yan that tunnel boring ceremony took place in the depot in Barangay Ugong, Valenzuela City, and was witnessed by various project participants, particularly from the Japanese government and Japan International Cooperation Agency. Meanwhile, over 500 cops heed resignation call, according to Abalos, Secretary of the Department of Interior Local Government. Secretary Benhar Abalos has announced that 500 colonels and generals have submitted their voluntary resignation, and they can continue doing their work, performing their jobs, staying in their posts until such time if their voluntary resignation is accepted. Meanwhile, the chief of the Philippine National Police, General Rodolfo Azurin Jr., announced that the PNP will focus on cyber crimes among top threats to Pinoys. Okay, that is good news to hear, because only in the Philippines are citizens the ones who have to defend themselves from cyber criminal. The responsibility and burden of protection and defense has fallen largely on consumers. So now the PNP will take an active role by making cyber crimes one of the top threats. Okay, now the lower photo the photo to the right of that article, we see Interior Secretary Benhar Abalos meeting with former President Rodrigo Duterte to seek inputs amid the government's campaign against illegal drugs and police officials involved in the trade. Okay. And then last but not the least, we have that photo of the image of the Black Nazarene. Some 15,000 devotees joined the traslación of the Black Nazarene in Cagayan de Oro City yesterday. Unlike Manila, Cagayan de Oro allowed the holding of the traditional long procession, transferring the image of the Black Nazarene. Akala ko pa naman nasa Manila. Okay. Officials hail successful holding of 2023 Nazarene rites in Manila. Okay. Meanwhile, 16.1 million SIM registrants so far, according to the DICT. So there you go. First week, 16.1 million, or first 2 weeks. And so it is assumed that the target of registering all legitimate SIM cards will be accomplished by April. Dapat siguro isali na pati yung electronic ID and serial numbers of mobile phones para matigil na yung fencing or pagbebenta ng mga nakaw na telepono. Okay, let's now move to our introduction of guests, and we begin with our first guest concerning water. Let's introduce our first guest. Gabriel, roll out the Betamax.
Leonor Cleofas currently serves as the administrator of the Metropolitan Waterworks and Sewerage System Corporate Office. Cleofas has been with the MWSS since the 1980s.
Okay, good morning, Ma'am Administrator Cleofas. Welcome to the program, Ma'am.
Good morning, Sir Cito, and to your viewers. Magandang umaga po.
Okay, relax lang. Alam kong first time mo ito. Kumbaga, para lang naman tayo nagchikahan. We are not the enemy. We are the friends of government. And thank you, Ma'am Bobby, for giving us this interview, because it allows us to be a friend and a helper to government in conveying public information. Okay, so Ma'am Bobby, yesterday I read the front page news, and medyo yung balita ay baka lang. There is a possibility that we might have water shortages in certain parts of Metro Manila unless the Kaliwa Dam is completed or goes on schedule, etc. What exactly is the situation at the MWSS what are your big projects, challenges for 2023?
Actually, Mr. Cito, I was not able to read the newspaper about looming water shortage. But let me just make clarification on that news item. MWSS is working on water security for the whole Metro Manila, Cavite, Rizal, and now Bulacan, the whole province of Bulacan. We are serving the province of Bulacan for treated bulk water. And right now, as you can see, we have 90% of our water supply is still coming from Angat. However, when we had the water challenges in 2019, if you remember that, the board has initiated some actions to make sure that water is available to our consumer. So in 2019, the board has approved several short to medium term water sources. One of which is the Cardona water treatment plant. We have tapped our water supply from Laguna Lake. And right now we have Cardona water treatment plant that draws water from Laguna. And also our East Bay. East Bay is somewhere in Pakil, Laguna, because that is where the clean water of Laguna is situated. And hopefully, by end of 2023, we will be able to draw 50 MLD, 50 million liters per day. Not to mention that we have Putatan 1 and Putatan 2. This is being operated by Maynilad that produces 300 million liters per day. Currently, additionally for Maynilad, we have 150 million liters per day located in Poblacion, Muntinlupa. And this will be a redundant in case that we have the recurring problem with Putatan 1 and 2. And you know the problem with Putatan 1 and 2. And not to mention the new water that Maynilad has stopped. You know, we have our sewage treatment plant, and we have, instead of draining that to the river, which is very dirty compared to that clean water of the sewage treatment plant, we are being regulated by Environmental Management Bureau and Laguna Lake Development Authority. We come up with additional treatment that will comply with the Philippine drinking water standards, and we draw 10 million liters per day for that matter. We have our Wawa. I know that you have heard about our project in Wawa. Right now, phase 1 is operational, and hopefully we will be able to get that 80 MLD, 80 million liters per day by end of this year. And the phase 2, we will draw about 438 million liters per day, and that will be available by 2025. In 2019, when we have the challenges, Mr. Cito, the board also has approved modular treatment plant. We have one in Marikina that draws water from Marikina, 10 million liters per day, and this is standby. Also in Cavite, we have 16 million liters per day. These are portable treatment plants that were approved by the board, so that in case of water shortage or shortage of price, I will not say crisis, but shortage, we'll be able to have this available water supply. Not to mention the support that we get from National Water Resources Board. During that 2019, we were assisted and supported by way of approving MWSS to develop deep wells. And right now, there are deep wells that are on standby. So we can draw 127 million liters per day for the deep wells that we have rehabilitated and constructed.
So Administrator, would it be safe to say, basing it on what you have narrated, plus also the history, okay? We pati sa media, we have our faults also, no? Historically, we've always said, oh, shortage, but the faucets never ran dry. Is our problem really about distribution and not so much about supply?
Yes, what we do is you can see historically what we encourage, what we experience are low pressure, but no, we don't experience really no water from the tap.
Mhm.
And I have to, Mr. Cito, I have to also tell our viewers and those who are listening right now that we are really bent on working on the long-term water source of Metro Manila, Rizal and Cavite. And right now we are doing the Kaliwa Dam, the new Centennial Water Supply Project. This
Mhm.
is the Laiban Dam in 1980. You remember that this was already started by President Edrelin Marcos. However, this was shelved
Mhm.
during the People's Revolution. So what
Mhm.
MWSS did is we redesign the Laiban Dam and we call it now New Centennial Water Supply Project. Before, if I don't know, maybe I'm an old timer of MWSS. Laiban Dam is located in Tanay. I'm
Yeah.
telling you about my age, okay?
Yeah,
Like
let's
the
not talk
dam,
about age.
yes.
We're in the same category, Bobby. But anyway, the question is, what is the situation with the Kaliwa Dam? Because a lot of people protested in the past, and then there were reports saying that the Chinese have not moved forward, etc. Who is in charge of that project, and what is the status of the project?
Yeah. MWSS is in charge of the project. Very clear in the concession agreement that the long-term water source resides with MWSS. I belong to
Mhm.
the corporate office. You know that we have two offices. One is corporate office and the other one is the regulatory office.
Mm.
Right now, the Kaliwa Dam is ongoing construction on the side of Teresa and Morong because these are not part of the ancestral domain. But I have to tell you, and I'm happy to tell that we have forged an agreement with the Indigenous Peoples Organization of Rizal and Quezon. And thankfully to the National Commission on Indigenous People, we were given a certificate of recognition. Um, Mr. Cito, we have worked 7 years and 6 months to get that agreement with the indigenous people. And it's really
Mhm.
not right to say that there are still people who are, of course, there are still people opposing. And this mainly are NGOs and some indigenous people. But the majority of the indigenous people has forged a memorandum of agreement with MWSS, NCIP, and IPO, the Indigenous Peoples Organization of the two provinces. So right
Okay,
now,
well, so that's good news. Now there is already a memorandum of agreement. So it's all. Is it all systems go, or are we waiting for? Where are we? Are we already building, or are we going to stage the project?
actually, there are two main components of the project. One is 22 kilometers tunneling and under the Sierra Madre, okay? And this is the critical part of the project because this is 22 kilometers and the diameter is about 4.8 meter diameter. Right now, we have launched the tunnel boring machine, just like what you have seen yesterday at Valenzuela. This
Mhm.
is like what we have in Kaliwa Dam. And the second component is the dam. The dam, we have agreement with the National Commission on Indigenous People and the IPO that we have to relocate, resettle the 15 families of IPs that will be affected when when the river rises, when we have constructed the dam.
Only
Okay,
15
so
families.
there are about 55 families. The rest are local people. They are not indigenous
Indigenous.
people. And the once we have accomplished that, we will be able to move in to the dam site. So the dam site is not so critical, unlike the tunnel boring machine that will traverse the Sierra Madre by 22 kilometers. So
When
from
will when
Odessa,
will the when will the tunnel boring begin, Ma'am Bobby?
it began in Teresa in Morong last December,
Okay.
and it's now inside the the Sierra Madre, and hopefully, I think we have moved about 400 meters, 300 to 400 meters, and we will see the tunnel by middle of 2026 at General Lacar.
Wow, that is that is a long strip, a long tunnel, and that's where the water will go through.
Yes. Uh,
Okay. So it's good to know, Ma'am Bobby, that all things are in order. The projects are all moving forward. There is sufficient supply of water. God forbid that there is a serious drought, but otherwise everything okay, and you are on top of water security.
Yes, Mr. Cito. And I'd like to take this opportunity for thanking the other co-government agencies helping MWSS, our two concessionaires, and also the Office of the President for making sure that we really implement the long-term water source of MWSS.
Okay, well, Ma'am Bobby or Administrator Leonor Cleofas, maraming salamat po. Thank you very much for your time with us. And please, anytime you want to talk about MWSS or water conservation or public information, Agenda is your platform.
Thank you, sir. Thank you po, and you're welcome. Nandito lang po kami para sagutin kayo. Marami pong
Okay.
salamat sa pagpapaliwanag na binigay niyo sa akin na time. Okay.
Okay, God bless and Happy New Year po. Okay, that's Ma'am Leonor Cleofas. She is a career veteran of the MWSS, and that is why she has command of her statistics and know-how of all the stuff that's going on. A very correct appointment at the MWSS. Let's go for a quick break, and when we return, let's tackle the agricultural concerns of the Philippines here on Agenda. Welcome back to the program agenda. We continue with our interviews and updates on what's happening in the country. And this morning, our second subject matter involves agriculture. With us are two veterans and very informed individuals. Let's roll out the video.
Attorney Elias Jose Inciong is the president of the United Broiler Raisers Association, a non-stock, non-profit association of small and medium-scale poultry producers. Aside from this, he is also the executive vice president of the group Alianza Agricultura. Leonardo Montemayor is the chairman of the Federation of Free Farmers. Prior to this, he was congressman for the ABA party list. Montemayor was also an agriculture secretary, serving during the term of former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo.
Good morning, gentlemen. Magandang umaga po sa inyong dalawa. Welcome to the program agenda. Attorney Bong, Calyoni, good morning.
Magandang umaga, sir.
Opo, good morning din po.
Okay.
Magandang umaga.
Sir Leonie, umpisahan ko sa inyo, ano po ba talaga ang kinalalagyan ng agrikultura? What is the state of Philippine agriculture? Because the music being played at the department is the sound of silence. Could you kindly give us your perspective or an update?
Opo, one thing that strikes me strongly, Cito, no, saka Bong, ang daming problema na sunod-sunod, di ba? Na pwede sanang na iwasan o na moderate yung impact had there been enough anticipation and preparation. So I sense a sense of drifting, parang lumulutang-lutang ang sektor ng agrikultura, and which is not good because we're facing great problems in the sector. And you know what is happening right now in the case of the onion prices reaching, shall I say, stratospheric levels. And I don't think I'm being OA, no? Sito. Ang taas eh. Na first time in my memory na nangyayari po yung ganyan. And coming on the heels of what happened to sugar, in the second semester of last year, sa loob-loob ko, bakit parang may replay doon sa nangyari sa asukal, replay naman po ngayon sa sibuyas.
Mm-hmm.
Diba? I thought we should have learned a lesson already from what happened to sugar order number 4. So that's my general sense dito, na sana, nasa New Year tayo, medyo sana may bagong kumbaga bagong restart with respect to addressing the issues in agriculture.
Okay, let me go to Attorney Bong. Attorney Bong, you are part of the United Broilers Raisers Association. Ano ba sitwasyon? Kasi parang may mga nagsasabi sa akin, meron pa bang broiler? Parang puro pugo na lang ang binebenta sa supermarket.
Hindi naman. Galing ako sa grocery noong isang araw. Dumami naman yung nakalatag doon sa grocery. At sa katunayan, marami pa rin ang nasa cold storage, both local and imported. Yun nga ang nakakabahala, maraming local na naka-imbak, hindi na disposed. Normally, ang mga local players, nilalabas yung nasa cold storage pagka yung holidays. Ibig sabihin, hindi kinaya. O konti lang, mataas pa rin yung inventaryo. Medyo kahit na nagkaroon ng holidays, hindi pa rin naging sapat yung demand para at least yung local maubos. Laki pa rin.
Okay, so ano ba ang kinalalagyan in terms of growers? Yung bang samahan ninyo patuloy, pareho pa rin ang bilang or marami nang nagsusurrender? Kasi ako, it's public knowledge naman, mahilig din ako magparami ng manok, layer at saka pangsabong. Yung mga kilala ko, biglang ayaw nang mag-breed this year. Lalo na yung mga nagsasabong, sabi, wala pare, masyadong mahal ang pagkain. Tapos ang hirap mag-ship, etc. etc. Kayo ba, nabawasan ba ang mga growers?
Ay tama yan, nagbabawas ng capacity kasi napakamahal na ng puhunan, napakataas na ng puhunan. Ando doon yung pag-iingat. Yung may mga puhunan naman, tuloy-tuloy. Kaya lang yung hindi naman mahaba ang PC, talagang labis ang pag-iingat dahil nung isang taon, nung 2021 kasi at saka early 2022, 85 lang ang puhunan per kilo live. Ngayon kasi kung mamalasing ka sa performance, nasa 110 baka higit pa. Kanya labis ang pag-iingat kasi ang taas ng panggagalingan mo pag bumaksak Kaya ando doon yung pag-iingat.
Okay, Kalyoni, in all of this, what are we getting from the Department of Agriculture? Kasi ako nababase ko na lang sa kung ano yung official statement nila, and the DA through its spokesperson said we are powerless against the rising prices of onions, although they put an SRP. And then, ayan, yung sa feeds, sa manok, wala namang magawa, etc. What are we getting from the DA from what you know?
Siguro two things, Cito. One is mixed signals, mixed messages. And just to cite an example, my good friend, the Rex Estoperes, I think the deputy spokesperson of the DA, has been saying all along that, okay, we have the problem with onions, but since we are nearing the harvest period, in fact, the main harvest will start, I think, about a week from now, from today, in onions. So we will not allow importation of onions. And yet, just I think 2 days ago, there was an announcement from Rex himself saying the executive committee of the Department of Agriculture is recommending the importation of 22,000 metric tons of onion. So that's an example of the mixed signals or messages. Yung pangalawa, Cito, actually inaccurate statements yung susunod na pasasabi ko And here is the case now of our colleague in the Department of Agriculture, our Undersecretary for Policy, Yusek Mercy Sombilla, saying that this had to do with the passage of Executive Order Number 10 of President Bongbong last week of December, which continued the low tariff treatment for imported, pork, rice, and corn of President Duterte. And Yusek Sombilla was telling us that this was needed because we lack pork, we lack rice. Our sources of those products should be diversified, and etc. And yet, here comes the Senate hearing kahapon lang sa Senate Committee on Agriculture, the Senator Cynthia Villar. Very clear doon yung data na presenta. We have an oversupply of, in the case of pork, during the past 3 years versus the actual demand. So what really is the score? Do we really lack pork? And that's the reason why we need to continue the low tariff treatment of pork as well as the other commodities. But that flies in the face of actual data that was presented before the Senate Committee on Agriculture. So yun po, mixed signals, mixed statements, sometimes very inaccurate. That has become the basis of policy in the case of EO number 10.
But is it really inaccurate? And Attorney Bong, join in anytime, no? Kasi nakakahalata na ako Yesterday, pinapakinggan ko yung hearing. Tinanong ni Senator Villar, yung tiga-DA, ano ang basihan ninyo for this importation? Hindi sila makasagot. And then sinagot naman ng tiga-NEDA. At sabi ng tiga-NEDA, kasi merong nag-file ng petition na private sector, etc., etc. So, na-realize ko, teka, mukhang may nagmamanipulate na ng policy from the traders. What do you have to say about this, Attorney Bong? When I say traders, yung mga importer.
Kaming nasa sektor, maliwanag sa amin, yung NEDA may policy bias, if not policy capture. Talagang madoktrina yung NEDA import liberalization, and they do not interface with the sectors in agriculture. May hubris merong know-it-all mentality at mababa ang tingin sa sectors. Lagi ang tingin vested interest. Binabaliktad pa kami pa yung vested interest hindi yung importer. Kanya ganyan ang nangyayari. And unfortunately, the President may disconnect sa the way the President operates in the DA. Sa nakikita ko, may disconnect. Pag nakipag-dialogue ka sa kanya, maganda maririnig mo Maganda Parang naiintindihan niya yung ugat ng problema. Kaso, beyond him, may disconnect na. Kasi, parang schizophrenic ang DA On the one hand, you have people na ayaw mag-import. On the other hand, you have people like Yusek Zumbilya, yung binabanggit ni Calioni. Galing NEDA yan Parang minaniobra ng NEDA na malagayan diyan ang mentality nila, what will save food for the Filipino ay importation. Binabaliktad nila. Kaya nga tayo nandito ngayon. Sabi nga nung isang Vietnamese writer na researcher ng Carnegie Endowment, kanya ang Pilipinas ang pinakamataas ang inflation sa pagkain. Tayo ang pinaka-import dependent. And yet, itong NEDA, itong DA ngayon, at least yung policy and planning portion, ang mentality pa rin nila, parang yung KEDAR. Food security will come from importation. Tapos, ang design ng WTO, kung if you allow importation, kailangan suportahan mo yung sektor mo. Kasi yun ang pinaka-stable source ng supply mo ng pagkain and agricultural products. Dito walang support Kinikilala ko na si Pangulong Marcos dinagdagan yung budget. Ang problema, dahil nga kulang sa consultations, hanggang ngayon yung governance walang maliwanag na improvement. Kasi hindi naman hinaharap na yung audit ng COA. Yung COA findings na nabanggit ko na dati, 10 billion disallowance and suspension of payments, 23 billion unliquidated, 2020-2021. COA findings yan, hindi akin yan. Bakit hindi hinaharap? Di mas delikado ngayon na dinigdagan mo yung budget ng DA. Tapos hindi mo ini-improve yung governance. Doon kami kinakabahan. At saka yung patuloy pa rin yung sistema na although kung iahambing mo naman kay Secretary Dar, mas maayos kausap si Presidente, kanya lang, may disconnect nga. He has to consult more. He has to spend time sa DA mismo, talking to the sectors, talking to his own people. Kasi DA is a damaged institution. Problematic talaga. Hindi niya maintindihan. Wala kasi sa sistema Hindi naiintindihan yung sasabihin nila na hindi mag-i-issue ng permit. That is in violation of the WTO rules.
Okay.
Hindi naiintindihan yung sistema, pero kailangan magpabida sa publiko, sasabihin hindi mag-i-issue, mamahal naman.
Okay, let me go to
bigat.
Okay, let me go to Calioni. Calioni, dati ka ng kalihim. You are former Secretary of Agriculture. What's your response to what Attorney Bong Inciong has raised?
Bong is generally correct, Cito. No? I acknowledge the President's good intentions. In fact, yung kanyang initial policy declarations with respect to food security was very well received by our sector because he said that kailangan i-prioritize natin, bigyan natin ng prioridad yung lokal na produksyon, yung sarili po nating mga magsasaka versus importation. Unfortunately, as Bong earlier pointed out, yung pong mga economic advisors niya have formed a kind of policy cordon sanitaire around the President. And syempre, the President is only, his decision-making is really based to a large extent on what his economic managers feed him. Sana ma-obviate sana yon o ma-temper yung, shall I say, over trade liberalization mindset ng economic managers if the President could spend more time meeting with and consulting with the basic agricultural producers themselves. In fact, I've been pointing this out to Senior Undersecretary Ding Panganiban of DA,
Yeah.
as well as the
But,
Executive Director.
you know,
of DICA.
Sec Leonie,
Yeah.
Sir Leonie, matanong ko lang, no, and Bong, I had my doubts about Ding Panganiban, and then some people I trust told me, Cito, magaling si Ding. He knows what our problems are. But the question is, does he have the authority? What's your reaction to that, gentleman?
Let me just quickly say something on that. Tapos, Bong, sumunod ka na.
Yes.
Having been in that position before, kwan talaga hindi naman pwedeng permanent situation yung kwan. The senior USEC, you know, decides for the kwan, his boss
Mhm.
on a kwan, on long-term basis. Siguro kung first 6 months, okay yun, no? Kasi importante for the president to set the tone in
Mhm.
terms of the priorities, especially for agri. And he was able to accomplish much by, for example, starting with the significant increase in the DA's budget for next year, 40%. Sana sa mga susunod pang taon sito, palalakin pa yan kasi kulang pa rin ang 40%. But perhaps we have the new year now, Sito. It's time to move on. Siguro naman, baka napapanahon na ipasa na po yung baton ng ating pangunahing bastonero sa yung bastonero mismo sa DA.
Okay.
And of course, I acknowledge ultimately it's the President's call. Kasi baka meron po siyang ibang mga nalalaman o mga priorities na gusto po niyang pagpatuloy bilang kalihim din ng agriculture. So it's ultimately his call. But
Okay.
as I said,
Attorney Inciong, anong masasabi mo regarding the competency of Ding Panganiban and the fact that everything is in limbo in the DA?
Pagdating doon sa organization, yung the nitty-gritty, how to, yung paperworks, yung the switches to turn on, yung nitty-gritty na organization, yung DA as an organization, government guy talaga kasi si Ding Panganiban. Alam niya yun. Kaya lang matagal na rin siyang out of the loop. I think he really needs to consult more with the sector. Ginagawa naman niya. Kanya lang ang reality kasi ito, may resistance talaga outside of the DA and even within the DA. It has taken him a while to really change people. Kasi embedded yung mga tao ni Dar dyan. Dahan-dahan lang yan nababago yung sitwasyon. Yun lang Undersecretary of Finance niya. Ngayon, si Bacayo, si Dar yung nagtalaga din yung mga bata ni Dar. Hindi magalaw for some reason. May labanan, there is a battle for the direction or even the soul of the department, assuming it has a soul. Kasi
so may internal conflict between the old guards and the new guards.
yes, that is one. And although he seems to be nalalagay na niya in place, kanya lang mababaw yung bangko ng DA. Ang pinagkukunan nila siyempre yung may mga career. Kulang pa sa vetting siguro with the sector. Pero, halimbawa, yung nilagay niya, kahapon nga, nabugbog si Paul Limson dun sa hearing kaya kahit pa paano, I had to intervene. Bago pa yung mama, in fairness to him, wala naman akong narinig na negative dun sa mama. Okay, he is now the BAI director.
Yes.
Bago pa, and yung tama yung sinabi niya na yun ang nadatnan niyang sistema. Yun naman talaga ang sistema. WTO. Fully liberalize ang pork and chicken. No need for a certificate. Manok at baboy lang ang hindi kailangan ng certificate of necessity to import. All other products kailangan. Fully liberalize. Hiningi kami ng mga Amerikano kasi ito. Yan ang history niyan 1997. You can ask former Undersecretary Fred Serrano. Hiningi ulo namin dyan Kami unang-unang binira niyan Kanya lang, how do we move forward now? Kung limited mukhang limited nga yung authority ni
Ding Panganiban.
Ni Ding Panganiban. the President has to make up his mind. Kung siya tatagal pa, he has to dive into the details kasi damage nga yung sector, yung department. Hindi ka po pwedeng CEO type na nasa taas ka, aasahan mo yung nasa baba mo. May problema yung nasa ibaba eh. Malakas ang influence ng import liberalization, malakas ang influence ng importer, yung
Okay.
vested interest.
Let's go for a quick break.
Kailangan parang battalion commander ka,
Okay.
you get your hands dirty.
Okay, let's go for a quick break, Attorney Bong, Caglioni. And when we come back, siguro mabilisan na submission of solutions. Kasi baka sakali lang nakikinig, that is the objective, to share the possible solutions. Because ako, sa column ko, sabi ko, dissolve na lang, bigay na sa mga governors and provinces ang determination of agriculture. Anyway, yan, natawa kayo pareho. I want to get your reaction after this quick break. Okay, welcome back to the program agenda. With us is former Agriculture Secretary Leonie Montemayor, and who is now the chairman of the Federation of Free Farmers, and Attorney Jose Elias Bong Inciong, President United Broilers Raisers Association. Gentlemen, nabanggit ko kanina in my column this morning for the Philippine Star, for tomorrow. Kanya pala hindi nyo mababasa para bukas pa. Masyadong advance yung ulo ko. I suggested that the Department of Agriculture be dissolved and that the determination of agriculture programs be passed on to province at the province level and with governors. Kasi may mga special feature sa mga probinsya. That's just my idea. What about yours? I begin with you, Caglioni. What are the concrete solutions that need to be taken or else?
Yeah. Well, I agree ka Cito na kuan. The local government should play a stronger role with respect to agricultural development in the respective areas. But that's easier said than done because you have to deal with two principal issues here. It's the mindset of our governors and mayors. Is agriculture really at the forefront of their priorities? Or are there other things that they give greater importance to? And then number two pa rin, yung problem of resources. Nilipat nga yung, let's say, yung functions ng agricultural extension sa LGUs under the local government code of 1991. But the resources were not enough. Di ba? So, tapos naputol pa yung lifeline ng mga extension workers natin sa training, accreditation, upgrading under the DA. So those things have to be addressed if we want the LGUs to play a stronger role.
Okay.
But totally removing DA from the picture, hindi rin yata pwede dito. Kasi certain things have to be done at the national level. Thank you.
Okay, pero anong solution mo, Sir Leonie? And one or two steps that can be taken?
Well, first of all, with the LGUs, siguro greater, for example, parang counterpart funding programs para kung may additional resources yung mga LGUs pursuant to that Mandanas ruling of the Supreme Court, giving LGUs a greater share in internal revenue taxes. Magkaroon ng matching program ang DA. So if the LGUs put some resources, let's say, into more irrigation, small scale, in their areas, imamatch ng DA from the DA's budget. So that will, kumbaga, push LGUs in that direction. So hindi sapat yung policy, yung makikiusap ka eh. Dapat meron kang, may carrot ka din, di ba?
Okay. What about you, Attorney Bong Inciong? Ano bang mabibigay mong solusyon? Kasi alam ko gigil ka na talaga sa DA at hindi ka nag-iisa.
Ang una kasi ito ay hindi ako sang-ayon na ibibigay lahat sa LGU. Kasi may international dimension yung problema. Ang solusyon talaga ay sumunod tayo sa sistemang nasa batas, yung mga pinasok natin sistema. Kaya kung mapapansin mo, parang yung sinasabi nga ni Leonie, parang drifting ang DA. Kung hindi mo maintindihan kung anong direksyon ang pupuntahan, wala kasing sistema. They're all in violation of the law as far as I'm concerned. They're not kasi sa batas, may yung AFMA, etc., they're supposed to systematize yung domestic support, yung tulong. Andun na ako, dinagdagan yung budget. Pero doon sa batas, kailangan may consultation kung paano gagastusin yung budget, saan pupunta. Kausapin mo yung sector na theoretically makikinabang dapat doon sa budget. Hindi ginagawa yon. Ang nangyayari ngayon, ang nagdo-dominate sa policy, sa direction, NEDA, naglagay nga ng tao nila sa Yusek Sombelia, hayagang sinasabi ko yan. Tao nila yan. Kung if you will be cynical about it, she is a fifth column. Kasi ang basic doctrine ng NEDA is import liberalization pa rin. There's nothing wrong per se with importation kung kailangan. Tama si Senator Villar kahapon. Ordinarily, other countries, kinukompute muna yung supply, kinukompute yung demand. Kung kulang, magpapasok ka. Hindi ginagawa yun eh.
So we don't have data. We don't have actual data to rely on.
That is part of domestic support, having the data system. And it is in the law. It is in sections 38 to 45 of ACMA, a National Information Network. Ayaw ipatupad. Yun lang specific sa live poultry and livestock, yung task force price and volume watch. Ginawa yan ni GMA. Tinigil nung panahon ni DAR. Nagtataka kami hanggang ngayon. Nag-commit na si Presidente niyan. Hanggang ngayon wala pa eh. Laging sinasabi special order pa ang kailangan i-issue. Maraming mahiwaga talaga at kung dibdibin mo nga kasi ito, nabanggit ko na dati, baka sumakit ang dibdib natin pare-pareho. Kanya lang, wag nating sukuan yung institution. There are good people there. Tumutulong naman. Ang problema natin talaga, nasa higher level, yung NEDA and the susceptibility of the President to listen to NEDA. Kasi hindi lang naman si President Marcos yan, si President Duterte, ganun din. To a certain extent, si President Noynoy. Although in fairness to President Noynoy and President GMA, they can think on their own pagdating sa economics, economic policies. I don't know. Ang akala ko kasi si President BBM, given his pronouncements during his inaugural, mas magiging independent siya. He will be more similar to Pinoy and GMA when it comes to economic policies.
Maybe
si President Duterte wala namang pretension. Sinabi ni President Duterte, bahala na kayo dyan.
Okay, maybe if we continue to just keep pounding, keep knocking on the door, keep praying, at also keep talking about it on national media. Baka sakali may mangyari. But
Malaki ang papel mo dyan,
gentlemen,
Cito.
ano po, Attorney Bong?
Malaki ang papel mo diyan. Yung,
Ay, hindi tayo
ilagay sa
titigil.
kamalayan.
Hindi tayo titigil at mabwisit na yung mabibwisit. Ayoko lang po kasing mamatay tayong gutom at nakatirik ang mata. That is my fear. Kalyoni, I have to close the program at this stage, but thank you very much, Attorney Bong, for joining us, gentlemen. And maybe in our next interview, we'll have a more pleasant discussion on a more pleasant topic of
Layo pa ang
agriculture.
umaga, Cito.
Thank you,
Okay.
Cito. Happy New Year and a more consultative New Year also.
Okay, thank you very much,
Maraming
gentlemen.
salamat, Cito.
Okay, maraming salamat Kabong, Attorney Bong, and that's it for our interview on agriculture. Just a quick point. I am not anti-DA. I have been pro-DA in the past. But unfortunately, when all we get is mixed messages, our stomachs grumbling, and our money unable to buy what we want, then we are not getting what we expect from government. So let us all pray that things are resolved quickly. Anyway, let's go to our blessing for this week. And it is, I pray that God visits your home today with healing, blessings, and miracles. As we do our prayer and fasting week, we pray that miracles will happen even in our government, particularly the Department of Agriculture. Positive, good miracles. I'm Cito Beltran thanking you for joining us today. Please keep it here on One News.